All right, I'm just gonna go over your sketches with you and kind of show you or explain some of the things that are working with your sketches and to kind of push that direction a little bit in your next set of sketches. But first I just want to go over the rules again for the sketches because I know they weren't super clear in the last assignment, but they will follow through with the next set of sketches you do. So have 5 to 15 shapes in each composition, and each composition needs to include a circle, a square, a triangle, a line, and a cross. And so you need all those, but you can multiply them, add more. Um, the shapes need to be either solid black or solid white. And so this is the one that most people are having problems with. So, and I know it's sketching and it's hard to think ahead, but so no white shapes with black outlines. Um, and so having said that, we'll look through your sketches. Ryan, yours are up, and I feel like overall, you were able to explore some options. I'd like to see maybe a little more variety. I feel like, there's a lot of the same size cross placed in the same area. Like here, what if it's at an angle? What if it's teeny tiny in a corner? Um, some things to think about there. Um, one here, I like, you know, if these black lines weren't here, I feel like that would have some interesting lost and found ideas. And another thing to think about, I feel like a lot of these shapes are similar sizes. So think about, what if one's really big? What if one's really tiny? You know, and one of them's a medium-sized shape. Doing that is going to create interest, and it falls into the rule of thirds. And three always looks better. Um, Maybe not always, but it's a good direction to head in. Um, Also on your next set, I was going to say a similar thing here. These shapes are both kind of the same visual weight. They're the same kind of size. What if one of them was smaller? What if one of them was a different color? And so, moving ahead in your next sketches, applying the rules and thinking about those things, I think will help you. Darla, let's take a look at your sketches. Excuse me. Um, I feel like you had a really good exploration of ideas. I could tell you took a lot of time in the sketches, maybe too much time, a little bit of perfectionist, I could tell. Um, one thing off the bat I want to say would just be stay away from repeating patterns. That's not something we're really looking for in this assignment. And so some compositions that I feel like are stronger and that you could maybe pursue in your next set of sketches and um, and play with. I like this one, and maybe it's it's this large shape and that tiny shape, creates a lot of interest, and so maybe push that idea a little bit. I like these lost and found, those little crosses that are, half of them is found in this black, and then the other half is disappearing. Maybe you can incorporate that in some other sketches. Let's look your second page. Some that this stuck out to me, this lost and found shape. That really shows up because you don't have black outlines around your shapes like a lot of the other sketches have. So good job with that. Again, it's missing some of the other elements, but just that one piece could work well in some of your future sketches. So I'm excited to see what you do with that. All right, Paul, here's my other perfectionist in class. good job with your sketches. I felt like you explored a lot of different ideas and pushed a lot of different design principles. So I appreciate that. Followed the rules and so I'll just point out a couple that I feel are stronger. Um, this one up here interests me a little. You know, these triangle shapes I feel like are a little pictorial. We kind of read mountain and cloud right away, but adding some other elements in there, um, I think could push it a little further. I kind of like this little grouping of elements here. I feel like these are kind of two separate designs. Can they interact a little more? But I like this large um, image and these smaller objects. I like that little lost and found piece there. So just some things. Maybe you can push those around a little bit, explore that avenue in your next round of sketches. In your next page, I felt like you had some interesting lost and found going on in this sketch here. How these kind of go out of this circle here. These lines here kind of reminds me of a little 80s graphic somehow, but I like the repeating lines. And so, can you push this circle outside of the composition? Can you make some of these shapes bigger or maybe tiny? Um, so just some things to think about in your next set. But again, I felt like you had some really strong sketches and explored a lot of different ideas. Stanley, let's look at yours. I feel like when I look at them overall, I feel like I see a lot of the same size shape, or maybe it's just the simplicity of your sketches. But I think when you do your next round of sketches and apply the rules, I feel like there'll be a little more complexity to them and a little more interest. Um, if we look in your second set of sketches, I feel like you were starting, after getting some of your first ideas out, really starting to explore some things that were working. Here, I feel like there's some interesting things happening here with this tension. There's some repeating triangle shapes happening. Um, what if this cross was white and there was and so it had some lost and found, or maybe there's another element overlapping there. Some things to think about. This one here, I thought this was really strong. These repeating lines here and here. I feel like it starts to look a little pictorial with maybe a sun and some shadows. But again, that's okay for these sketches. So maybe play with this. With the rules, you'll have to add a little cross and a square. Um, and so I feel like that's an avenue you could pursue. Michelle, let's look at your sketches. Right off the bat, again, like I said, um, the shapes need to be either solid black or solid white. And so, going through the next set of sketches and revisiting some of these ideas is going to change the look a lot. Having said that, though, I think there's some really interesting elements in some of your sketches that um, I'm excited to see how they will look in your next set of sketches. Um, right here, this one, I like how you have this space broken up and kind of in thirds. I like these small shapes here kind of balancing out this heavier shape here. I'm not so sure about this right in the corner. It feels a little awkward there. Play around with that a little bit. Also, this one here, I feel like we'll have some interesting things happening. You know, what's going to happen when this shape here and this shape here are black, or maybe this background's black and these are white. So I'm excited to see what happens with some of these designs. And let's see, I feel like there was some good arrangement happening here with this space broken up. You know, this is really heavy here. So, you know, how do you balance that out with these other shapes? You know, if this was black, or maybe it had um, some other, yeah, but just coloring in the shapes, I mean, it's going to change how the design looks a lot. So, you know, just remember the rules in your next in this week's set of sketches, and just play around with some of these. You know, I like the broken up spaces and the angles. So good job with that exploration, and you know, head in that direction and for this week.